What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the OddsShopper channel, coming to you with a Thursday night football edition of NFL Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Yes, Monday Night Football, interesting stuff all the way around, but I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to roll. Hopefully you are as well. Use promo code Lindy50 if you want to get 50% off the first week or month, your first week or first month of Premium Discord. Yes, that is the Discord where you can get all of my plays before everybody else, where you can also fire up all of the bets that I make the day of, which are plentiful, friends. Come check it out. Would love to have you there. Without further ado, though, Thursday Night Football, massive playoff implications in this one. We got Denver. We got the Chargers. Producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. Gigantic football game as the 9-5 Denver Broncos taking on the 8-6 Los Angeles Chargers. 2.5-point favorites are the Chargers pretty much everywhere. There's threes, but you're really paying a hefty price for it if you want to be solidifying that +3 on the Denver side. Now, I'll throw it out there right from the get-go. I don't have a play between Denver or LA. I really don't even have a lean on who's more successful between the two. But I will say 41.5 is going to be the thing that I'm featuring here and talking about the most. The Chargers, probably the most surprising result to me of all of Week 15 was them getting annihilated, absolutely bludgeoned at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are really taking control of that NFC South. Mike Evans, big game, absolute evisceration there of that secondary, and a very good secondary for the most part at that here on the Charger side of things. But the more I run simulations of this game, the more I am interested in looking at offense. Now, Pat Surtain, this was a guy that I had highlighted, circled, starred, the best cornerback in football, not just by my grading, PFF grading, by anybody's grading who has two eyes this season. He's been an absolute lockdown monster, but he primarily plays exclusively out wide, and that's going to avoid some of the matchups here on the Chargers side that I'm more interested in. Pat Surtain, if he's out wide, that means Quentin Johnston's just going to have a big fat 0 next to his name. So, I mean, have fun with that. But over the course of the season, 688 snaps that he has had out wide, he's had less than 120 in every other circumstance. So it is just a guy who's going to be on that left side of the field all the way over, and more than likely across from Quentin Johnston. Also could have a little bit of Joshua Palmer in his life. But we got to look at the injury report here elsewhere as well to kind of indicate where I'm going to be going with things. On the Chargers side, you got Johnson there, the guard, another offensive line injury. And this offensive line's been doing pretty well this entire season on the Chargers side. Rashawn Slater, I've talked about him for years. You want to know why Northwestern football had like relevant seasons in the early 2020s? Rashawn Slater was playing left tackle for them. This guy is an absolute monster, the likes of which the world's never seen before. And Joe Alt, their number 5 pick in the first round of the draft, he's been shoring up the entire opposite end of that line. But if you lose Zion Johnson there on the inside, on that left position, you are looking at issues against this Denver team that, you know, they're going to play a lot more zone, hang back there in coverage, and Pat Surtain just does his thing. But do find it very, that's a piece of injury news that I would like to know right now, because the Chargers, they really haven't had any semblance of a running game here in the absence of J.K. Dobbins, not expected back until Week 17 against New England. You're looking at Gus Edwards and Kamani Vidal. And Vidal is at least an interesting back for one thing, and that's where we're going to start our card off in the lean department. 9.5 receiving yards is a low number. Now, when you start seeing like, oh, it's 1 yard more and 10 cents more vig at other books, I don't take that much into account when it comes to 9.5 and 10.5, because you're basically you're not solidifying that much closing line value for it. You are either annihilating this line or you're not. It's going to look really good or it's going to look awful, because it'll more than likely have a flat 0 in front of it. But Kamani Vidal, over 9.5 receiving yards. I will also say, I don't know how they're going to, Denver specifically, is going to cover Ladd McConkey out of the slot. But I know that the Chargers are not going to put him out wide and have any chance of Pat Surtain lining up against their star wide receiver. And Ladd McConkey been one of the more reliable pieces. And in fact, he's number 20 in PFF grading this season. The guy is an absolute stud. You want to look at Georgia issues there? They've had issues at times here this season as well at the wide receiver position. Ladd McConkey, not on their football team. Brock Bowers, not on their football team. But we're not talking the college game, although it's going to be an awesome weekend for it. I just look at Benito, obviously there on the edge, not somebody who's going to drop into coverage all that much. So you're looking at a linebacking core that's pretty weak in Barton and Stroud, probably the weak point of this Denver defense. And you've got the Brandon Jones character who's just out there roaming the desert, doing amazing things. I'm sure he will probably get a lot of coverage in base coverage. If they go 12, I doubt we're going to have Ladd McConkey be out wide on the Surtain side. They'll find ways to avoid him and just make sure Johnston's in that matchup. So I think both of them are intriguing backs, but haven't bet them yet. Hence, they go in the lean category. I have to repeat this. I had to put none up there before. I haven't bet these yet. If you would like to know if I do or not, hit me up on X at Eric Lindquist. That's why they're leans. But let's start the two things that I have bet already. And we swept the board there back-to-back, bang, bang, like and lock there. Put none, again, in the lean category last game. Let's run that back, shall we? I would very much like it. Over 41.5. I very much like this play for a couple of reasons. First off, the Chargers offense could not have looked worse. But second of all, I think they're going to do interesting things to get Ladd McConkey in space. Do interesting things with not Gus Edwards, that's for sure. But I think that they've got a lot more offensive ammunition than what we saw last time out. It sounds like Will Dissly not going to be out there, which kind of sucks for them. But Stone Smart, he's been there for a couple of years now. Third year in the NFL. And that snap rate has gone up, up, up. He played 35 snaps last time out. The guy's pretty decent. Like, I don't hate the idea of him being out there, being somebody you could also put into this lean category and somebody that I've obviously paid a lot of attention to. But the snap rate is kind of what worries me. I would like to see him over 55, 60% of snaps on a routine basis. And I don't know if that's going to be the case. But the main reason I like this over is price. Minus 105. There's 42 and a halves that sit at minus 110. And when you get less than 5 cents for something that's supposed to be an efficient line, and then you can kind of make a case for Denver's offense, which I really haven't talked about, and I will talk about here in the lock session, that's for sure. I think they're the ones who find a lot of success and push the pace of this game. Now, Denver's defense, obviously, just broke it down so many different ways here, but we'll get into the Chargers defense. Not looking the same, obviously a 40 spot given up to Tampa Bay. That'll do it for you, but over 41.5, I expect the passing expectation for both teams to go up, up, up with a couple of key absences. Now, before we get to this lock, check out Lindy50 down at the link below. You want to sign up for the Discord. You want to get all my plays. Know which leans turn into likes. Know which likes I might double dip on, because that's a thing that's happened from time to time. And you want to get all my NBA plays as well. Lindy50, that is less than $1 a day if you sign up for your first month there. It's $25 for the entire month. It's $10 for your first week, so just over $1 there per day if you guys want to check it out just for a weekly basis. This will run you right into Christmas Day. Oh, Christmas Day. Lindy50 would love to see you there. Alrighty, let's get to the lock, producer Jacob. For our lock, obviously, I just emphasized a lot of what's going on here on the Chargers offense side, the Denver defense. Let's switch it up, shall we, a little bit. Why did the Chargers struggle so mightily against Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans? Well, I think there's a couple of key things that we have to be paying attention to. And the first one is just kind of what you have in terms of the matchups here and how you create space within the offense. Because there was a lot of over-the-top shots, poor tackling, stuff that you don't necessarily expect all that much from the Chargers. But Joey Bosa has really struggled on the edge for them so far this season, not generating a bunch of, 353 snaps, not really generating a ton of pressure according to PFF grading, according to Next Gen stats. You still have Khalil Mack on the other side, who's an absolute wrecking ball, but at least this offensive line for Denver has been patchwork, making things work all season long here to give space to guys like Vele, giving space to Lil Jordan Humphrey, and of course, Cortland Sutton on the outside. He's going to get that lovely Christian Fulton matchup that did not go well for Tampa Bay. Now, Derwin James, this is somebody that can line up there against guys in the slot, can pretty much do everything you want from a defensive perspective, but Elijah Molden is also going to be out there for the Chargers, and Tony Jefferson, who should be, we got to see more of a workload than last week. Only 38 snaps for him there. He did have a bunch of different injury stuff that he was coming off of. He was out weeks 3 through 12. So Tony Jefferson, very limited sample size, but hopefully that snap rate can go up for them, but not for our purposes, because I'm looking at a couple of main things. First one, Bo Nix starting to take more downfield shots. Second off, you've got one of the core trio of running backs that is going to be out here. It's going to be a lot of Javonte Williams, which I think is something that Sean Payton's just been hesitant to do. I think he's going to be the more successful of, between him, Audric Esteem, Jordan McLaughlin. Yeah, he's the one who's out. But we are very much going to back Courtland Sutton to continue to take the top off of this Chargers defense. This is 2 points, or again, 2 receiving yards, difference between this and the rest of the marketplace. And we're getting it at minus 113 on FanDuel, where it's minus 120 and higher everywhere else. Sure, the Chargers are probably going to try to fix what went wrong against Mike Evans. And I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion, but at 62.5, when I've got a guy around 80 receiving yards, that goes in the lock category just about every single time. So lots of game scripts where Courtland Sutton is going to continue to see around a 30% target share. And that, friends, locks him up against a Chargers defense that, yes, has overall been solid, but in the Dome, in LA, getting Denver on turf, let's party.